Hey guys, in this video we're going to talk about kind of posing with the light. Um, I'm Daniel Norton, photographer here in New York. I make videos like this one. This is going to be kind of a look back on an image that I've shot before, a couple images actually. And we did this last couple weeks ago and people liked it, so I'm going to do a bunch of these. They're going to become a regular thing. I have a whole folder of images that I want to talk about, so as long as people like them, I'll keep doing them. But I also do videos like about philosophy. We'll do videos about gear, so if you're interested in anything photography or creative like that, go ahead and subscribe. What I mean by this is the idea of posing with the light is that when we are creating light, now this is, of course, if you are using just a big open flat light, right? So I get asked about that a lot, I want to shoot a big group of people, okay, use a big flat light so that wherever they move within the light, they're fine, right? They're evenly lit, it's fine. This is good when you're shooting kids for like catalogs, you gotta run around, whatever. You want to light them, relatively flat. But when you are creating light, you're sculpting your subject with light, you're creating mood with light, you're creating emotion with light. Generally, that means you're going to use smaller lights that are more pinpointed, or at least smaller spread. Not necessarily small, you might use soft light, but they're going to have less spread to them, generally because they're closer. What happens is, as the model, your subject, moves within that light, the mood and feeling will change. And you can work and get a lot of different feelings and moods with the same light. It's important, I think, when you're going to do this kind of stuff, to communicate, right, with the model so that they understand, maybe show them a few images so that they get the idea, so that they can then have the freedom to work within it. I'm not one to be about the perfect posing and the do this and this. This is not the way I work with models. I like to give them a range. I give them space to move, but I also need to give them direction as far as like where things are and where the light is and stuff like that. So let me show you the images and we'll start from there. Okay, so this is my friend Bird. We shot these probably almost a year ago now. It's like we've been, I think we shot at the end of 2019. Anyways, I was testing out some new stuff for Dedolight. You'll see a lot of Dedolight in these videos because they are the lights I go to when I really want to create mood and feeling in my images because they give me so much control. Dedolight really was a big changing point for me. I had always been like a control freak and I always use grids and things like that, but having the control that Dedolight gave me really changed the way that I worked. It let me get to the point where I really wanted to be when I couldn't quite get there all the time before. So shout out to Dedolight. But anyways, I will talk about other gear you could possibly be used in these because obviously not everybody has Dedolight, so we'll talk. There's three things going on here, even though it looks like probably two to most people. Number one, there is a light that is being bounced into this mirror system that they have. It's kind of like it looks like a bunch of little pieces of mirror and they fold around. And essentially what you do is you bounce the light into, it's called reflex, I believe. I'll put links if I can find them. Some of the stuff is not available in the US, but I know people watch from all over the world, so I'll put at least links to what they are in there. But essentially it's a set of like mirrors and you bounce a light into it and it reflects back out and you can create all these different patterns. So you can get, and you're going to see this be used a few times, you can get all kinds of cool, like just interesting backgrounds. That's really what it's for, right? To get that like painted background feel. Of course, I use it a lot of different ways in this, but right now I'm using it like that. I essentially have a blue gel on my light. It's bouncing in. It is making the background have this blue tone. This is literally, if you've seen any of my videos where I'm shooting, this is that wall in my studio that I always shoot against. I'm just kind of at an angle. So I've got that light bouncing in there. I also have a second light that it's probably hard to see, but it is, the way you notice it the most is up here. You can see it in the wall. It's kind of up high, and it's giving her a little bit of kind of clean light. You can see it here on her arms and on her hands here, and it's going up here. Barely notice it. It's just kind of just kissing in just to give a little three-dimensional feel. The reason for that is I didn't want to hit her with the blue light, right? So it's kind of basically, it feels like it's coming from that direction, that the light from the background's giving her the separation, right? That's the idea, right? The idea is that it should feel like the blue light is separating her, that pattern light, but I didn't want it to be blue on her skin. I didn't think it would look good. So that's there. And I guess, like I said, you can kind of see the clean light at the top here. You can see it up there. So you see how that's neutral. And then the third light is on her. It's basically a spotted down light. I can't remember. I might be using the projector or maybe just zoom the light. I can't really remember. And what we've got here is it's a warm. They're bicolor. It was an LED, I believe. And we can actually see. So you can see you can see two of the lights in her eyes. As you can see, that's a little bit soft because she was moving. Fine. Not every image needs to be the sharpest thing in the world. It really kind of just depends, especially if you're going for mood. So what I want to talk about here, though, is just giving you the overview. These two are lit exactly the same. But the reason why, they're probably, do they have names on them? 2167. Okay, so they're a few frames apart. What's happening here is we've got the exact same lighting setup, but in this case, her chin is down, and also her hand is up, drawing in, right? This creating this shape here, right? We've got the like this V shape. So the viewer is, naturally you're gonna be drawn to somebody's face. So the viewer is drawn into this V, and it kind of bounces them back up into it, and kind of keeps them more or less in this area. Eventually, your eye will wander, and you'll look into the darkness, and you'll see the rest of it. But this is really, a tight shot. This shot could almost be, I don't think it would be as strong if I did that, but this shot could almost be, cropped in, right? You could literally crop this thing. Can I crop the bottom of it? Yeah, it's off the top of the thing. Oh, God, you could come in and crop out all that there. Well, you can grab the bottom of it. I think I'm too close to the bottom of the screen. That happens to me sometimes. And, kind of come in. I'll do it this way. There we go. This is really my subject here, right? And I mean, some people might even say that's a stronger image, right? This is basically what we're mainly focused on. But I think that when you are doing something that's very intimate like this, it's nice to give space. It's nice to give some space around. Some people, that's one reason why I use wider lenses in general. This is, I think, we'll shot with like a 70. I'm not cropping into, I'm not using a 120 and zooming in for this. I like the space around her, right? But, again, to each his own. You certainly can do it any way you like. But my point here is that this is really my subject, right? I could have just done that, I guess. This is really my focus. But there's a few things going on here. Number one, I mean, she's looking at us, right? You can see that there. But her eyes are in shadow, right? You even have this little shadow here shaping her face, showing the beauty of her face. You've got some shadow here, even though her mouth is kind of open. You've got this shadow, this kind of mystery inside, right? You've got these. This is a hard light. We can clearly see it's a hard light. But what it's doing is it's creating like a mystery, right? It's keeping us here, right, in this moment, right? It's all there. It's bringing us in, right? This shot is a connection between the viewer, or the photographer, when I made it, but the viewer, right, you, and the subject, right? We're seeing into this intimate moment with this person. They're addressing us. We're addressing them. It's tight. The color, the warm light helps her kind of separate, even though they're really, if you squint at it, right, they're really very similar tone. I mean, if I was to make it, let's see if I can do this. Let's make it black and white. Well, I guess the easiest way to do that is this. Black and white. Yeah, if I go over here and I make it black and white, we'll see that, it loses a little bit, right? You still get a decent amount, but I feel like the color just really kind of brings it in. Especially it's a little oversaturated because I kind of crunched the contrast down when I did this. It's really just punchy and kind of like mysterious. This shot, on the other hand, she's looking up towards the light, right? She's opened up, right? She's not opened up, but she's opened up with her hands. She's looking up into it. Here we are observing her moment of revelation, or her moment of seeing something or something going on. She's beautiful. We can see that, right? We can look at her. She's there, but we're not connected to her, right? She is doing her thing, and we are observing it. So you've got the contrast here, and it really comes down to, but here, eye contact, but also shadow and not shadow. And if this image was a completely flatly lit image, you wouldn't have the same feeling, because you would see inside her eyes here. It would not be mysterious. It wouldn't have that kind of greediness and depth, right? The shadow pattern here is helping. Same thing here. We feel like she's rising up out of something because she's lit, right? But this falls off to darkness, right? She's in this like glow of light that is that's kind of what's connecting us to her. This kind of warm light where she's kind of embracing it, and she's coming to her. So this is basically the same lighting. It's completely two different vibes, same model, same clothes, same everything, right? All this is about, it really here is the pose, and how she's working within the light and giving her space to work within the light so that she can express various different emotions. This is really the advantage, in my mind, of using small light sources or light sources that are very confined, right? Because you can do this. When you work with a large light source that lights the whole person top to bottom, like people love to do, you can't create this kind of stuff because it's just not there, right? They can get it. This is why I think sometimes we see a lot of stuff that's supposed to look like, okay, I'm not trying not to bash people, but I see this a lot when people tell me that they are boudoir photographers. They do this lighting because they think that, soft light is going to be flattering on my subject who needs to be flattered because I can't let them look the way they look for some reason, which is how people operate. That's a whole other video. And they light this whole person top to bottom, and it's not flattering because if they don't have the ideal, body or whatever, you are not helping them out in any way by just lighting them top to bottom. What you want to do is accentuate what's good, right? That you want to show off. Let's say it's let's say it's a female. You want to show off the curves of the female or whatever. You want to show that off without showing the stuff that maybe people might think are negative, right? So shadow and shape and angle of light helps us do that. Pose helps us do that. We make it more mysterious. If somebody's doing this like sexy pose in this flat light and it just isn't, it just doesn't work. It just looks flat and boring. To me, this is the stuff that's really gritty. This is the stuff that has the real emotion. And I'm not saying that you should just run out and shoot everything with small light sources. You got to do it when it's appropriate. And it is possible to use a large light source to get kind of an emotional tight shot. But to do that, you really need to be in a certain moment. It's not as guaranteed. And in fact, I'm going to jump out of this for 1 second and show you one other shot, which was not shot with the Dedolight, but I happen to have in this collection because I don't know why it was here. But now this is my friend Norton. So I shot this. Oh God, this is very old. This is shot with a 5-foot octa, right? But look at the shadow and the grittiness of it, right? Elements of this image, right? The way that her hair is kind of like damp, the way that we left the ground, we had put oil on her body so it would shine in an earlier shot. It's messy, it's dirty. It has this like feeling like we almost shouldn't be looking, right? And then she's got a perfect expression. She's covering herself up. She's doing that same, you got the same thing with the elbow. She's looking at me, but I can see everything. I can see everything here, but because the environment and because of the nature of it, I'm able to evoke that same type of mood. So just like everything, right? When you are creating images and you see somebody online or wherever, you see Daniel, and I say something like, this does this, just remember that it's not always the case, right? Two different images can be lit differently, different model, different situation, and evoke a similar vibe, right? Each of them has their reason for it, and the reason for it comes down to connection and how you connect with the model and how you're putting them in the frame. This is all very important when we're lighting stuff, and you can do it. So whenever somebody looks at me and they're like, oh, you did this, but can you use it with exactly the piece of gear I have? You don't have to. You don't have to have the same gear that I have to do the things I do. You have to understand the reasons why we're doing things. So hopefully this was helpful, guys. Leave some comments. Let me know what you guys think about this. Do you use this kind of light? What do you want to see? Right. I'm going to talk a lot about small lights in the next few of these, which I'm going to shoot over the course of this weekend. So for the next few weeks, you're going to see. So I'm sitting here with this folder. I'm going to sit and make a bunch of videos. I'll have to edit them. But so you're going to see a bunch of these from this series. But I will do some stuff with bigger light sources and stuff if you want to see them. What is it that you want to see? What is it that you're looking? What do you feel like you're not getting? What is it when you look at your images and you say, "Man, I was going for this, and I'm just not getting it. Why am I not getting it?" perhaps I have an image where I can illustrate how you could get such a thing. So if you haven't already, guys, go ahead and subscribe. Ring the bell, of course, and get notifications and whatnot. If you want to see me do like more live editing stuff, follow me on Twitch, which all these links and stuff are in the description. And I will see you next time.